What's up, guys? I want to welcome my new subscribers to my channel. Just called it a night here. Worked my ass off today. And I usually like to take a walk and just think, I do it in the shower, think. But you guys are my therapy, so I wanted to talk to you guys for a minute. So tonight is the David Benavidez and Caleb Plant fight. And for those of you that don't know, I live in Las Vegas, Nevada, and there are a lot of temptations in this town, to say the least. You know, I'm originally from Rochester, New York, just a kid from Rochester, New York. Went to the military. I lived in different places around the country, but nothing's quite like Sin City. And I do mean Sin City. A lot of temptations out here. And one of the biggest temptations is to keep up with the Joneses. There is a lot of money in this town, to say the least. And the reason I bring up the Caleb Plant David Benavidez fight is because although I don't watch sports anymore, just for the reasons, go back and watch my old videos. I do like combat sports. It's hard for me to stop watching that because they're very rare. Like the ones, I like the big fights, you know what I mean? Even if it's a UFC fight, John Jones, that was down the street from my house. All these things are down the street from me, man. And that John Jones fight, John Jones is from Rochester, New York. I wanted to go to that fight. That first time he's fought in over 3 years and all the things that was going on. And then today, with this fight tonight, I wanted to go. But I didn't. And I'm going to tell you guys why I didn't. Although I'm not rich, not even close to being rich, I do well for myself. As far as, I'm probably just above average. And being above average, as far as income and what I have saved and everything, in America, you're doing well compared to the rest of the world. You are in the top 1%. In these, if you're top 25% or top 50% in America, you're probably top 5 or 1% around the world. Because there's only about 330 million people in America, and there's 8 billion people around the world. A lot of poor countries and a lot of third world countries that are not doing anywhere close that we can. And when I hear people complaining about stuff here in America, I call those first world problems. And you sound like a little baby. Because I know people that came from places that they had no running water, no heat, no windows, stuff that we take for granted. Anyways, I am what you call a silver and gold, silver and Bitcoin miner. I work every day. I work for myself. I get a check too, but I have several different streams of income coming in based on some of the investments and some of the work I've done. And I take that cash, those US dollars, and I turn them into Bitcoin, Satoshis, and I turn them into ounces of silver. So I'm a miner. I may not be physically out there doing it, but I take my time, energy into buying those things. So I'm a miner. The reason why I didn't go to the John Jones fight and the Caleb Plant David Benavidez fight tonight, and it's probably going on as we speak right now, and it's hurting me even talking about this because I really want to go, is because that cash that I would have bought those tickets for, and they ain't cheap, by the way. The cheap tickets aren't cheap. Instead, I made a sacrifice, and I bought silver and Bitcoin. I made a local buy here, not much. I'm probably buying, honestly, right now, for every $100 I'm spending, or every $1,000, I'm spending probably $800 on Bitcoin and $200 on silver right now. But that changes. And I do that with everything. Eating out, entertainment things that I could be doing. And there's plenty to do in this town. And there's plenty of stuff to do in your town. But keeping up with the Joneses, I never was the type of person to do that. If you guys see how I dress, remember you haven't seen me from the waist down. But I just wear shorts and sneakers. And I wear a t-shirt. I got a hoodie on tonight because it's a little chilly. I don't spend money on fancy clothes. I get my hair cut because I do have to talk to people, and I am on camera and stuff like that. But honestly, I hate even paying for it. But I make sacrifices for my future. I always try to do something today that my future self will thank me for. And there is going to be a future you. And you got to make sacrifices today. And let me tell you, I'm talking to you guys right now because this is hard, man. It's not easy to do it. There's plenty of times that I want to order a large pizza and some wings and some extra blue cheese on the side and all the other stuff for 50 or 60 bucks. But every time I don't do that and I go home and wait and pack my lunch when I leave or make my dinner physically myself or my wife and not pay for all that labor, because that's what you're paying for is labor, I reward myself by taking that money or digits on the screen and I go and purchase some Bitcoin. Every time I don't spend something, I take the money that I would have spent and buy my future self assets. Bitcoin is deflationary. Silver, in my opinion, to a certain extent. Not right now, it's not. Well, compared to 30, 40 years from now, 30, 40 years ago. It's deflationary, meaning things that if you price them in silver ounces, or if you price them in Bitcoin ounces or Bitcoin Satoshis, and you take that as a dividend at the bottom and divide that thing, that car, that whatever. Silver is about keeping up with inflation, maybe a little less, a little more. It's definitely doing better than the dollar. But as far as Bitcoin is concerned, everything is getting cheaper in comparison to how many Bitcoin it'll take. It takes a lot more gold ounces to buy Bitcoin, and it takes a lot less Bitcoin to buy gold ounces in comparison to years past. Houses, cars, whatever you want to do. And Bitcoin, although it is volatile, because the market cap is very small in comparison to all the money in the world, because it's a global asset, it's volatile, but it's moving in the right direction, up and to the right. So, what should we do? What should we do when we think we don't have a lot of money or we don't have enough? You got to make sacrifices. You're not going to save your way to get rich. I say that all the time. You're not. What you need to do is a combination of three things. Number one, earn as much cash as you can. Earn as much as you can. Number two, take time to learn about money and finances and sit down with your bills and look and see what kind of holes you can plug out of that liability column and say, you know what, I don't need this Hulu or this Netflix or whatever, because not only is it wasting my money, it's wasting my most precious asset, and that's my time. Because watching that garbage and paying for it, that's a double whammy, man. I talk to people all the time, man. So you got to stop doing that. And the third thing is stop spending and eating out when you don't need to. Stop spending extra stuff when you leave the house. The things that I like to buy, besides my long-term money, my digital money, and my physical money, which is gold, silver, platinum, silver and gold. You know, silver mostly, gold to a certain extent, and platinum second, and Bitcoin third. Besides those things, I try to spend my money on income producing assets. Buy things that'll pay you to own them. And I'm gonna say that again. Try to buy things that'll pay you to own them. I'll give you an example. If I buy a car And I have a 2016 Toyota Camry. Me personally, that's what I got. It's got 90-something thousand miles on it. And guess how long I'm going to keep it? I'm going to keep it, and this is my rule with cars. I'm going to keep it until my mechanic says, no mas. It's done. Get another one. When I buy cars now, I buy them to make me money. So if I spend $3,500 on a little Honda or something, one thing I know is people need cars. So I'll put it online and I say, hey, I got a car for rent, or I got a car for sale, or whatever, and I'll put 3 or 4 different ads on the same car. Hopefully they'll call for the daily rental, because a lot of people do that in Las Vegas. And let's just say I rent that car out for $50. I had a person one time who really needed a car. And again, and I told him about it too. This is the low financial IQ. That's why I say, get your financial IQ up. I had a person renting a car from me here for $70 a day. And it wasn't a fancy car. He didn't meet my requirements to buy it. And I tried to help him out, but he wouldn't do it, because all I told him is, you need this amount. I don't care about a credit check, because I have something installed in the car that if you try to steal it or something like that, you can't steal it. And also, give me $500 or $100 or $1,000 down. He didn't want to do it. He just wanted to pay me every single day. And he did. Do you know how much money I made off that car? That's just an example. You can go on eBay. You can go to garage sales. You can buy undervalued assets and look at things that the market are saying, well, that thing's worth 100 and you're buying it for 30. I know I can sell it for 70 because Mr. Market says the market says 100. Turn around and sell it for 70 and wholesale it. My point is, stop buying liabilities. Stop buying things that don't make you any money. Every time, again, guys, every time I don't eat pizza or Burger King or Murder King, I call it, going out, whether it's 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 bucks at a time, let me tell you something. The little things add up. I'm going to tell you a story. My grandmother, God rest her soul, she always had little lessons for me. And I used to spend money a lot and stuff like that. I had an allowance because I worked for it. She didn't hand me anything. And if I ever asked her for money, she'd always say, what you need it for and when you going to give it back to me. She didn't give me shit. And I'm so glad she didn't. There was a leak in the basement. Every time something was broke, she wanted me to fix it. And it was a little pipe. And I put a bucket underneath it, and I tried my best to screw that thing tight. I was a skinny kid back then. Maybe about 12 or 11. And she said, you got it? It's fixed? I said, yeah. So I put a little bucket underneath there. Forgot all about it. It was in the corner in the basement. A couple of months later, and in between that time, she asked me a couple of times. Every few weeks or so, she would say, hey, that leak is fixed, right? And I said, yeah, Grandma, it's fine. It's good. Don't you know? She screamed, Jerry, come here. She goes, didn't you tell me that leak was fixed? I said, yeah. Went down there. Not only was the bucket full with water, but it was leaking out water, and the water went and hit some wires and stuff, and I got in a lot of trouble. She pulled me to the side later on. Let's just say it wasn't good for me that day. She pulled me to the side later on, and she said, son, let me tell you something. She goes, the things that you forget about, the little leaks, the little things add up. She goes, you never thought in a million years that little leak, and I'm talking about, it would probably, the drip would probably come out once every 6-7 minutes. Because I was sitting there watching, and I was like, oh, this is fine. It ain't going to do nothing. I put the bucket under there because I didn't want her to see the water, and then I put some stuff in front of it. Got that stuff messed up too, wet too. She goes, those little things add up. And what I loved about my grandmother was she always gave me lessons, and I never forgot that. And I take that lesson with me today, that the little things added up over time can turn into a big thing. So what I'm going to tell you is this, and what I'm going to leave you with this. Stop eating out. Stop buying liabilities. and buy things that pay you to own them. And remember, guys, the little things add up. Now, the Khabib Plant, David Benavidez fight is not a little thing. And I'm hurting that I couldn't go to it, but it is what it is. But guess what? I bought a whole lot of Satoshis instead of that fight. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love each and every one of you. Have a great night, day, morning, whenever you're watching this. Stay tuned for my next video. I'm going to break down some stuff that some of you may be or may not be interested. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace and love.